Chris Hemsworth made a dramatic entrance on Jimmy Kimmel's show, striding onto the stage with his trademark charm and confidence. The audience erupted in cheers as the Hollywood star waved and took his seat, ready for what promised to be a lively conversation. Jimmy greeted him with a playful smirk, hinting that this wouldn't be just another typical interview. Chris, known for his wit, fired back with a quick joke, setting the tone for a night filled with banter. Little did anyone know, this friendly start would soon escalate into a fiery showdown. The conversation began innocently enough, with Jimmy asking Chris about his latest projects and life in Australia. Chris shared amusing anecdotes about balancing fatherhood with his demanding acting career, earning laughs from the crowd. But when Jimmy teased him about his Marvel co-stars, Chris raised an eyebrow and leaned forward. "Careful, Jimmy," he said with a grin. "You're treading on thin ice." The audience giggled, sensing the playful tension, but no one expected the joke to spiral into a full-blown comedic battle. Jimmy, never one to back down, doubled down on his teasing, suggesting Chris was the least funny Avenger. Chris feigned offense, clutching his chest as if wounded before shooting back, "Says the guy who needed a laugh track for his first show." The crowd roared as Jimmy pretended to be stunned, shaking his head in mock disbelief. The exchange was lighthearted, but the energy in the room shifted as both men seemed determined to outdo each other. What started as jokes soon turned into a no-holds-barred roast session. Chris brought up Jimmy's infamous mean tweets segment, accusing him of hiding behind celebrities to do his dirty work. Jimmy retaliated by pulling out a photo of Chris's early acting roles, including a cringeworthy soap opera clip. The audience howled as Chris buried his face in his hands, but he quickly recovered. "At least I didn't host The Man Show," he fired back, referencing one of Jimmy's more controversial projects. The back and forth was relentless, and the crowd loved every second of it. As the jokes grew sharper, Jimmy pretended to check his watch, hinting that Chris's time was running out. Chris, unfazed, grabbed the cue cards from Jimmy's desk and pretended to read them aloud. "Oh, this says you're supposed to be nice to your guests," he quipped, tossing the cards over his shoulder. Jimmy gasped in exaggerated shock, and the audience cheered for Chris. The playful tension was palpable, and it was clear neither man was willing to back down. The segment was supposed to last 5 minutes, but it had already stretched to 10. Jimmy tried to regain control by switching topics, asking Chris about his workout routine. Chris, however, turned it into another jab. "I could teach you a thing. Or two, Jimmy. Maybe then you'd finally fill out that suit." The crowd erupted as Jimmy looked down at his jacket, pretending to be self-conscious. He shot back, "Yeah, well, I don't need steroids to look good." Chris paused, then laughed, shaking his head. "Wow, going straight for the low blows, huh?" The audience gasped and cheered, loving the unfiltered banter. The producers offstage began to look nervous as the segment veered further off script. Jimmy, sensing the chaos, decided to up the ante. He pulled out a prop, a toy hammer resembling Thor's Mjolnir, and handed it to Chris. "Here, maybe this will help you feel better," he teased. Chris examined the hammer, then smirked. "You're right. I do feel better. Now I have something to throw at you." The audience lost it as Chris pretended to hurl the hammer at Jimmy, who ducked behind his desk in exaggerated fear. The chaos reached its peak when Chris stood up, flexed his arms, and pretended to flip Jimmy's desk. Jimmy, playing along, clung to his chair like a scene from an action movie. The audience was on their feet, cheering and laughing. Just then, a stagehand rushed out, whispering to Jimmy. He nodded, then turned to Chris with a faux serious expression. "I'm sorry, Chris, but we've been asked to wrap this up by security." Chris crossed his arms. "What, can't handle the heat?" Jimmy shrugged. "Nope, you're officially kicked off." Chris laughed and took a bow as the audience gave him a standing ovation. He tossed the toy hammer back to Jimmy, who fumbled it dramatically. "Thanks for having me, Jimmy," Chris said, grinning. "Anytime," Jimmy replied. "Preferably in another decade." Chris waved to the crowd and strutted off stage, leaving Jimmy to shake his head in mock exasperation. The segment ended with the audience still buzzing, unsure if what they'd just witnessed was real or all part of the act. Backstage, Chris high-fived the crew, who were all grinning at the unexpected chaos. Jimmy joined him moments later, and the two burst into laughter. "That might be the best segment we've ever done," Jimmy admitted. Chris nodded. "And they said I couldn't improvise." The crew confirmed the audience loved it, and social media was already blowing up with clips. What started as a standard interview had turned into viral gold, proving once again that Chris Hemsworth could hold his own in any arena, even against a seasoned late-night host. The next day, headlines everywhere declared Chris Hemsworth kicked off Jimmy Kimmel's show, with fans dissecting every moment. Talk shows and podcasts replayed the segment, debating whether the feud was real or staged. Chris took to Instagram, posting a photo of himself holding a "Banned from Jimmy Kimmel" sign, captioning it, "Worth it." Jimmy responded with a meme of Thor crying, adding, "My ego may never recover." The playful rivalry only fueled more excitement for their next encounter. On his podcast, Jimmy admitted the entire showdown was unplanned, crediting Chris for running with the moment. "He's just that good," Jimmy said. Most guests would have panicked, but Chris turned it into comedy gold. Fans praised both stars for their quick wit and willingness to push boundaries. The segment became a masterclass in improvisation, with aspiring comedians studying the exchange frame by frame. Chris, meanwhile, joked that he'd start charging for roast sessions. The viral moment even caught the attention of Chris's Marvel co-stars. Robert Downey Jr. tweeted, "Finally, someone put Kimmel in his place." Mark Ruffalo added, "Chris for late-night host when?" The camaraderie among the Avengers only amplified the hype, with fans begging for a rematch. Jimmy teased on social media, round 2 coming soon, maybe with security on standby. Chris replied, "Bring it, I've got more hammers." Behind the scenes, producers from both sides discussed capitalizing on the buzz. Rumors swirled about Chris guest hosting an episode or even joining Jimmy for a recurring segment. Late-night TV had been craving this kind of spontaneous energy, and audiences were clearly hungry for more. Critics noted how rare it was to see such unfiltered, genuine chemistry on air, a testament to both stars' professionalism and sense of humor. Chris's team revealed that the actor had been nervous about appearing on the show, unsure of how his humor would translate. "But that's Chris," his publicist said. "He thrives under pressure." Jimmy, meanwhile, admitted he'd underestimated Chris's comedic chops. "I thought I'd have to carry the bit, but he took it to another level," he said. The mutual respect between the two was evident, and fans hoped it would lead to more collaborations. The segment also sparked debates about the future of late-night TV. In an era of heavily scripted interviews, viewers craved authenticity. Chris and Jimmy's showdown proved that unplanned moments could resonate far more than polished rehearsals. Other shows took note, with hosts encouraging more improvisation and risk-taking. For one night, late-night TV felt alive again, thanks to 2 stars willing to play with fire. Chris's appearance also boosted ratings for Jimmy's show, with millions tuning in to watch the replay. Advertisers took notice, and the episode became one of the most profitable of the season. Streaming platforms reported a surge in views for Chris's movies, particularly the Thor franchise. It was a win-win for everyone involved, proving that sometimes the best marketing is pure, unscripted fun. In the weeks that followed, Chris and Jimmy continued to play up their feud online. Jimmy posted a fake wanted poster of Chris, accusing him of stealing the show. Chris responded with a video of himself breaking into Jimmy's studio, only to be caught by security. The bit kept fans engaged, and speculation grew about a potential sequel on the show. Jimmy even hinted at a Thor vs. Kimmel special, though details remained scarce. The cultural impact of the segment extended beyond entertainment. Memes flooded the internet, with Chris and Jimmy's faces photoshopped into everything from historical paintings to action movie posters. Comedians referenced the showdown in their acts, and even politicians used clips to lighten the mood during speeches. It was a rare moment of unity in pop culture, with everyone agreeing on one thing: the world needed more of this energy. As the buzz slowly died down, Both Chris and Jimmy reflected on the experience. Chris called it one of his favorite career moments, praising Jimmy for being a great sport. Jimmy in turn said Chris was now his dream guest. "Anytime he wants to come back, the door's open," Jimmy said, "though we might reinforce the desk first." Fans held out hope for a reunion, and until then, the original segment remained a beloved highlight of late-night history. The Showdown also reignited interest in Chris's upcoming projects. Studios saw his comedic timing as an untapped asset, and rumors swirled about him starring in a sitcom or comedy film. Chris, known for action roles, expressed excitement at the prospect. "I love making people laugh," he said. "Maybe it's time to switch things up." The idea of a Thor-style comedy special even trended online, with fans pitching wild ideas. Jimmy, meanwhile, used the momentum to experiment with his show. He introduced more improvisational segments, encouraging guests to break format. Ratings continued to climb, and critics praised the fresh direction. "Chris Hemsworth broke my show in the best way," Jimmy joked. "Now I'm just leaning into the chaos." The incident became a turning point, proving that even in late-night TV, risks could lead to rewards. Looking back, the fiery Showdown was a reminder of why audiences fell in love with talk shows in the first place. It wasn't just about promotions or rehearsed stories, it was about spontaneity, connection, and fun. Chris and Jimmy's chemistry was electric because it was real, a rare glimpse behind the curtain of celebrity. In a world of curated content, their unscripted clash felt like a breath of fresh air. Years later, the segment would still be referenced as a gold standard for late-night TV. Aspiring hosts studied it, and guests dreamed of creating their own viral moment. Chris and Jimmy's names became synonymous with comedic brilliance, and their feud entered pop culture lore. It was a testament to the power of taking chances and the magic that can happen when two stars collide. As for Chris Hemsworth, he'd go on to host SNL, star in comedies, and even return to Jimmy's show, this time with no security threats. But no matter how many accolades he earned, fans would always remember the night he was kicked off late-night TV and left everyone wanting more. The legacy of that fiery Showdown lived on, proving that sometimes the best moments are the ones you never see coming.